Hello, welcome to Make It with Moodle Gradebook Training. In today's webinar, we will discuss navigating the gradebook, aggregation methods in Moodle, gradebook setup, and go over some quick fixes for when your students have trouble seeing their grades. The two most common areas of gradebook are the View and the Setup page. You will find these in the Grader Report. And the view shows the students' names, assignment grades, and course totals. This kind of replicates the old school grade book, actual book that we used to use, where you have all the students' names and their grades listed for the corresponding assignments. The Setup tab configures the course grade settings and the aggregation methods. This is where you want to go in and check to make sure your grades are calculated correctly and according to the syllabus standards. Now we will discuss the aggregation methods in Moodle. Aggregation is the method in which your students' grades are calculated. The three most common aggregation methods are natural, weighted mean of grades, and simple weighted mean of grades. Next, we will discuss each one of those in a little bit more detail. In the natural aggregation, students' scores are added to a single total. So you have what the students scored, added, and totaled, and they are put into a ratio of total points scored over total points possible. To get the final grade, you would simply divide the student's score total by the sum of the total possible points. As you can see here in this example, once the totals are accumulated, you have 283 over 395 total possible points, and your student has earned a 71.56% in the course. Here we have the weighted mean of grades aggregation method. This method is best used with grade categories, where you assign each category to be a certain percentage of the overall course's grades. In the example on the screen, you will see that the homework category is worth 20% of the grade, and the exams category is worth 80% of the grade. You will notice the numbers underneath the homework category, and what those numbers indicate for homework 1, 8.911, is how much weight that particular assignment has on the entire category. So another example here, we will allow the homework to be weighted at 30% and the exam totals to be weighted at 70%. So when you calculate the grade for weighted mean of grades, Moodle will multiply the category total by the weight you have configured on the setup page. If there are no categories, Moodle will multiply the weight by the individual grade total. So here in our example, you can see the homework assignments were 30%. You have the student score over the total amount possible, 95 points, and it's multiplied by 30, representing the total weight for the homework category. Once you get your weights, your categories totaled, then you add them together, put it over the sum of the weights, and your student in this example has earned a 71.31% for the course. Our last type of aggregation we will be covering is simple weighted mean of grades. For this aggregation, Moodle uses the total points possible as the weight of an assignment or a category. So here you can see the student's scores listed in the first column, and then the total possible points listed in the next column. Each grade will be calculated individually if no categories are employed, and that ratio, the score over total, is then multiplied by the total possible points. So as you can see here on the table below, homework 1 is the student scored an 18 out of 20, so that's the ratio, and then you'll multiply that by how much the assignment was worth, which is 20, and that becomes your weight. You do this for each one of your graded assignments. And then, once the weights are applied to each grade, they are all summed. This sum is divided by the sum of the weights. And here in this example, you can see the student's score is 71.65%. Now we're going to talk about some quick fixes for your gradebook. In particular, when your students cannot see your grade, there are 3 possible problems that you can check to see if we can get those grades shown. We will discuss each one of these 3 here in detail. And then at the end of the presentation, I will take you to a Moodle gradebook and kind of show you where these things are located. So the students cannot see the grade. The first thing you want to check is the graded activity hidden? In this particular case, you're not going to be going to the gradebook to fix the problem, to check. You'll be going to the course home page at the activity, and you'll need to turn editing on, scroll to the activity, you will click edit, and then when you click that, a drop down appears, and you'll see here on the screen highlighted in a red box the hide button. Now, this is an action button, so if it says hide and you click the button, the activity will hide itself. So if you see the word hide, your activity is actually visible until you click hide, and then it won't be visible. However, if you do this where you turn editing on, click edit, and then it says show, that means the activity is hidden. So when you click the word show, it shows the activity. Sometimes if a student can't see the grade, then you may need to check the restrict access settings. And these will be also checked at the activity level on the home page on your course, not in the gradebook. The restrict access setting allows you to control when an activity is accessible by students. Making a graded activity inaccessible to students also makes the activity's grades no longer visible in a gradebook. Here at the center, we recommend not using restrict access by dates in Moodle courses. However, it's a great strategy to use. Restrict access is way better used as a content controller, whereas if you wanted a student to watch a video before they accessed a discussion forum, then that's where you would restrict access. You wouldn't restrict access by date, only by content. And I will show you how this works here in a minute when we do a demonstration in Moodle. Finally, if your students cannot see your grades, it may be configured incorrectly in the gradebook settings. You can control the visibility of individual grade items by adjusting settings on the categories and items page of the gradebook. From here, you can also show or hide assignments, category totals, and the course total in the gradebook. So out of the 3 methods or 3 issues that may cause students not to be able to see the grade, 2 of them are solved on the course homepage at the activity setting. 1 of them can be solved in the gradebook. And so now we're going to take a minute and I'm going to show you some of these things in Moodle. Now we will take some time to demonstrate some of the things we have talked about in our webinar. If you look at the screen, you will see here we have hit the grades over here in the sidebar, and we are now in Grader Report. The page you are currently viewing is the View tab, where you can see the students' names and the activities, the graded activities, and then in this column right here, you will see their score. So this is where your grade book is located. Next to the View tab is the Setup tab. The Setup tab is where you want to check the configurations for your grade settings. Now, this top level folder is the course settings, where you choose the aggregation method. You will have wanted to turn editing on, and then you click Edit and Edit Settings. And as you can see here, this gradebook is set to calculate grades in the natural aggregation method. This drop down is where you select what aggregation method that you want. So for this particular course, all of the grades will be added up and then divided by the total points possible. You will notice here that the weight column does have numbers in it. When you are using natural settings, those numbers are there to tell you how much weight that particular assignment has on the course total grade. So if you look here, the one I have highlighted blue, it's worth 100 points total, which is 8% of the calculated total grade, whereas the 20-point assignment above it is only 1.6% of the total grade. If you look over here at this one in the setup, this setup aggregation method for this course is weighted mean of grades. And now you can kind of see here how the weight, you can edit it, whereas in the natural setting, like I said, it's just informational. You cannot edit that weight. It is dependent upon how many points are assigned to that activity. But here you can edit the weights either right here on the setup page, or if you click edit settings for the activity, you will see under the parent category heading, you can enter the weight there as well. So looking again at this grade book that is set up for weighted mean of grades, you will see that this book movie assignment is worth 20% of the total grade of the course. This one is worth 25%, so on and so forth. The category of discussion forum is worth 10% of the course grade. Now, each one of these discussion forums counts 12.5% to the total 10% of the discussion forum category. Now we're going to talk about the three issues that may occur if your students are not able to see their grades. So the first one was talking about it being a hidden activity at the activity level. So let me show you how that works. If you look here at the course on the screen, you will see this purple bar here says hidden from students. So that means this activity is hidden from students. If it was a graded activity, it would also be hidden from the grade book. So to fix this, you turn editing on, come over to the activity that you want to be shown, click edit, and again, you'll see here that the I has a line through it. That means it's currently hidden. To show it, this is an action button. I click show. Now the students are able to see that document. If it was an assignment, now the assignment and the grade will show up in gradebook. So that's one thing that you can check. If students are not seeing their grade, make sure it's shown on the course page. The next reason that your students could possibly not be seeing their grades is because we have restricted access based on date. So to restrict access is done at the course level, and then you restrict access. You have to turn on completion settings at the course level, and then you can use restrict access in your course. But again, don't restrict access based on date, restrict access based on content. And let me show you that real quick. So let's say here the TPAC model book. I want the students to be able to I want them to read through the material in this book before they answer the discussion forum. So I'm not going to go into a tutorial on completion settings. You can find that. We've got tutorials for those on our website, www.midway.edu/the center. And in our Moodle tutorials, there will be a tutorial that shows you how to establish completion settings. But if you are not seeing something in the gradebook, or your students are, you may want to check to make sure that the assignment isn't restricted by date. To do that, you go to the assignment, you click Edit, Edit Settings, and then under Restrict Access. If there was a restriction by date, it would show up here when you clicked on the Restrict Access tab. If you look here, if we click Add Restriction, you want to stay away from the date, because as soon as the date is expired, the grades won't show up. You can restrict on activity completion. If you want more information on that, please see our website. Finally, if those two issues aren't if those two are not your problem, that your students can't see your grade, then you will want to go to the gradebook, and you want to go to the setup page. And now you're going to look at the individual activity settings. Click Edit and Edit Settings, and you want to make sure that this box right here that says Hidden is not checked. Hidden is not checked, because that will hide your grade in the gradebook. And that concludes our Make It with Moodle gradebook webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find the Midway Moodle tutorials at the website listed on your screen. As always, contact the center for any of your teaching, learning, or technology needs. Thank you.